Hello, if you're returning, welcome back. And if this is your first time, welcome to the Wrong Historian. Today, we are going to go over exactly how to write the DBQ. This will apply to students in both APUS History and AP World, as the instructions are the same. And hey, if you like these instructions, we have a $5 guide that includes even more detailed instructions for writing a DBQ, as well as all the other sections on the AP test. And while it's geared toward AP World, the test-taking strategies will work perfectly for the AP US exam as well. For the most part, we'll go over how to earn a basic 4 out of 7 on the DBQ, which almost anyone can do without a lot of background. And while 4 out of 7 doesn't sound all that great, it's actually a really strong score on the DBQ and will set you up to pass this thing. No problem at all. Let's start with the basics. What is the DBQ? You probably know this stands for Document-Based Question. Think of the assignment like a historical crime. They give you 7 pieces of evidence in the form of documents, and you have to, solve the crime. But here's the catch. You don't want to come up with one answer to the question. You need 2. Think of it like 2 theories that answer the same crime. Next, let's talk about the question for a moment. Whatever your question is, it will always start the same. Analyze the extent to which. To simplify this, it means how much. In other words, this is a question of quantity. Usually some documents will be a lot, and others will be a little. These will usually be your answers, a lot and a little. For instance, if the question is asking you to analyze the extent to which the Enlightenment increased the status of enslaved persons in the years 1800 to 1850, then you'll just think a lot and a little. So break this down as simply as possible. The Enlightenment is behind all the revolutions. That means you'll be looking for some documents that show slaves getting freedom and being treated like equals. That would be a lot. And slaves, not getting freedom. That would be a little. As you go through the documents, try attaching a number to each one of them. Let's take a look at this one from the Haitian Revolution. In this document, a proclamation from Saint Domingo, we see that it's in the name of black people, and that they now have dignity, and they are asserting their rights. This seems like a lot of change to me, so let's give it a 9 or a 10. Now, let's look at a second document. This comes from Thomas Jefferson, and he says that black people are not capable of understanding Euclid, and that they have dull imaginations. Makes you wonder why the United States still has money with this guy on it. Given that the source tells us this is an Enlightenment thinker, we can assume this does not show much of any increase for the status of enslaved persons. So let's give it a 1 or a 2. Ultimately, you should find 3 or 4 documents that have high numbers, and 3 or 4 that have low numbers. These will be your 2 categories. First thing to do is write your 2 response paragraphs. Remember, one is a lot and the other is a little. Your topic sentence should restate the prompt, explain that the answer is either a lot or a little, and give a detail from one of the documents. Let's try it out. In the years 1800 to 1850, some enslaved persons saw a definite increase in status as a result of the Enlightenment. For instance, the Proclamation from St. Domingo, where black people asserted their rights. Notice that we have used the primary wording from the question, including the dates, the fact that it shows a lot of change, and an example from one of the documents. Now for each document, you'll want 2 sentences. The first will simply summarize the document. It has nothing to do with your argument. Include who is speaking, when it took place, where it's from, and definitely what it's all about. For the first document, we'd write something like this. In Document 1, written in 1804, people in Haiti wrote a constitution for their new nation in which they made it clear that black people had both rights and dignity. The second sentence simply explains how it supports your topic sentence, which is all about enslaved people seeing an increase in status. Let's see. This document shows a definite increase in rights because the former slaves have created their own nation, one that is based on freedom, a definite sign that they have been influenced by the Enlightenment. And that's really it. For the rest of this paragraph, you'll want to follow the same 2-sentence format for each document that shows a lot of change. And then you repeat this process for the other paragraph, documents that show little or no change. Now that we have the body paragraphs taken care of, it's time to go back and write the introduction. We'll start with the thesis statement. To do this, we'll mash our 2 topic sentences together and indicate which of our responses was the bigger deal. How can you tell which response matters the most? It should be the one that contains the most documents. After all, that's the answer, with the most evidence. I usually like to start this sentence with although. It forces me to address both of my responses. Although some enslaved persons saw a definite increase in status as a result of the Enlightenment in the years 1800 to 1850, for instance, the Proclamation from St. Domingo, where black people asserted their rights, most continued to suffer through slavery, as seen in the words of Thomas Jefferson when he described them as having dull minds. Remember to check for 3 things in your thesis. Have you answered the question? Have you described both of your responses with examples from your evidence? And have you emphasized one argument over the other? The other element you need in this introduction is your context. If the question mentions a big event, that's probably what you'll want to talk about. If not, choose a large topic or process that led to the subject of your DBQ. In this case, we're talking about the Enlightenment. What we'll want to do is provide a definition and a couple examples of it. That's about it for a basic DBQ that gets you a 4 out of 7 points. Which, remember, is actually a pretty strong score.